Welcome to Z-File. Today, we're going to be chasing a phantom. You know that shimmering pool of water you see on a hot road? The one that just disappears as you get closer? Well, what if I told you it's not just a trick of the light? What if it's actually a warning sign coming from inside your own brain? Today, we're going to dive deep into how this simple illusion connects to our own biology. It's a story of how the exact same phenomenon could lead one person to their death in the desert and guide another to discover a whole new world. Pretty wild, right? All right, let's get into it. To really understand this whole phantom water thing, we've got to start with the physics. Don't worry, it's not magic. It's actually a really cool principle about how light behaves when it zips through air at different temperatures. Okay, so this is the one we all know, right? The classic highway mirage. Here's how it works. The ground gets super hot and it heats up the air right above it. Hot air is less dense than the cooler air above it. So when light from the sky comes down, it hits that hot, thin layer of air and whoop, it bends or refracts upwards toward your eyes. Your brain, though, is kind of simple in this respect. It always assumes light travels in a perfectly straight line. So it traces that bent light back to what it thinks is the source, on the ground. And what does a patch of sky look like on the ground? You guessed it, a shimmering puddle of water. But now, let's flip that whole idea on its head. Imagine you're in the Arctic or out on a really cold sea. Now the surface is freezing, making the air right above it super cold and dense. This time, light from something far away, like a ship on the horizon, bends downwards towards that dense air. What's the result? Well, your brain sees the object way higher than it actually is. Sometimes it looks like it's literally floating in the sky. And yeah, this is where we get those old legends of flying ships. And this is what I love about this breakdown. It makes it all so clear. The physics is exactly the same in both cases. Light always bends toward denser air. So whether you end up seeing a phantom puddle or a flying ship, it all boils down to one simple question. Is the surface below hot or cold? That's it. Okay, but it doesn't stop there. Things can get way, way weirder. Because sometimes the air isn't just a simple hot layer and a simple cold layer. You can get these complex, stacked layers of air, all at different temperatures. And when that happens, you get the most bizarre, the most fantastical mirage of them all, the Fata Morgana. So a Fata Morgana isn't just one simple illusion. No way. It's a total mess of different mirages all happening at once. You get some images that are upright, some that are upside down, all of them stacked, stretched, and distorted. The atmosphere is basically acting like a giant cosmic funhouse mirror. And when our eyes see something that convincing, that's when the real trouble starts. Not out there, but in our own minds. And that brings us to what I call the double trap. Look, seeing a fake leg is one thing, but the real danger is what's happening inside your own head at the exact same moment, especially when you're lost in the desert under that incredible heat stress. So here's part one of the trap, hyperthermia. As that poor wanderer chases the mirage, their body temperature is just climbing and climbing. And there's a critical point, 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit. Once your core temp crosses that line, things get really bad really fast. The very proteins that make up your brain start to, well, cook. Think of it like frying an egg. You can't unfry it. The hardware of your brain is literally starting to fail. And while your body is overheating, this is happening. This is the second part of the trap. You're also losing water fast. And look at this. The research is crystal clear. When you're dehydrated and under heat stress, your brain's performance just tanks. We're talking about a drop of 16% on a complex task in one study. That's huge. This isn't just about feeling a little tired. Your brain is becoming demonstrably less capable. And it gets worse. It's not just that you're getting slower. Your accuracy goes right out the window. Studies show that the number of mistakes you make on even a simple task, like basic addition, can more than double. So think about what that means. You're not just seeing an illusion out there, your brain's ability to even recognize it as an illusion is completely collapsing from the inside. And that is the double trap. You have this perfect optical illusion happening out in the world. Right at the exact moment, a cognitive illusion is taking over your mind. Your brain, just fried by heat and a lack of water, is getting confused, your memory's failing, and your judgment is shot. At that point, your brain wants to believe that water is real. It's desperate, and it's lost all the tools it would normally use to tell itself, hey, wait a minute, this is a trick. Okay, so this whole thing sounds like a death sentence, right? But what if I told you that this exact same phenomenon could be a life-saving tool somewhere else? What if an illusion could actually lead you to the truth? This is where the Vikings come in. Seriously, the ancient Norse explorers saw these mirages all the time in the cold northern seas, and they even had a specific name for one type of superior mirage, Hillingar. They described it as the horizon lifting up, making the sea look kind of concave, like a bowl. It's a very particular optical effect that happens over that cold, dense sea air. So here's the big question, the puzzle. These Vikings were sailing across these huge empty oceans. How in the world did they find places like Iceland or Greenland? I mean, these places were so far away they were literally below the horizon, hidden by the curve of the earth. How do you find something you can't see? The answer is just poetic. You don't follow the land. You follow its ghost. You sail towards its mirage. That Hillingar effect was so powerful, it could actually grab the light from a coastline hundreds of kilometers away, bend it over the horizon, and lift its image right into view. And historians are pretty convinced now that this wasn't just a fluke. This was a legitimate navigation tool for the Norse. It wasn't some fuzzy shimmer, it was a reliable signpost in the sky. And get this isn't just some ancient myth. As recently as 1939, a ship's captain documented seeing a mountain in Iceland from over 500 kilometers away. That's over 300 miles. He wasn't seeing the mountain itself. He was seeing its ghost, its superior mirage, pointing the way. All right, so let's close the case file. What's the big takeaway here? What's the thread that connects that doomed desert wanderer with the incredible Viking explorer? It all comes down to this. Our reality, what we think of as real, it's not just a passive video feed of the outside world. It's a co-creation. It's a story that your brain is actively telling itself based on both the world outside and the state of your brain inside. And this just nails the point perfectly. Look at this. You have the exact same physics at play, light bending through the air. But for the desert wanderer, whose brain is compromised by heat and thirst, that bent light gets interpreted as a false hope, a fatal trap. For the Viking explorer, with a sharp, hydrated, focused mind, that same bent light is seen as a truth, a reliable map to a new world. The illusion wasn't the variable, the observer was. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. What other mirages are out there in your own life? What things are you misinterpreting, not because the world is trying to fool you, but because of your own internal state? When you're stressed or tired or burned out, how does that change what you see? How many opportunities might you be missing or problems you might be creating simply because the lens you're looking through is being warped from the inside out?